Joburg. Welcome, everybody. It's episode 365 of GI Joburg. My name is Steve. These guys are...
I'm fighting delicious crime.
Paul, and that is...
It's Rob, relaxing at home, not fighting crime.
And we're switching focus back to a toy podcast. Yes, we're going to do a long-form review. The spotlight's really falling onto... Are we going to do the Evader? Or are we saying we're doing Darklon with the Evader? It's difficult to know which one gets top billing, because they're both very interesting.
And can you have one without the other? I suppose find out in a couple of minutes when we talk about it. So
You definitely will. Catch you after this commercial break.
It's the new Darklon with Evader. Nobody gets the idol, the American hero. The end of commercial break. We're excited to give a show, clearly. Gents, Darklon and his Evader, tell me your stories. How did this guy come into your life?
Well, I'll start with mine because it's quite modest. Steven got me mine.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ah,
I mean,
what?
that was
it was
easy.
on... you got it for me, long ago from, I think it was from Deer Hunter, actually, that you got it for me. It was either Deer Hunter or Withers. There was Darklon and his Evader. It was like stupidly cheap. And then I asked you to grab it for me, and then you grabbed it for me, but you were just like, yeah, have it. Because it was so cheap. And you're like, here's a gift. And I had his gun, and I've got Darklon and the Evader. That's how I remember that.
Was it Deer Hunter before they moved from Joburg, or was it Deer Hunter when it was in Cape Town?
Oh, fuck. I think it was still in Cape Town, man. Because I don't know. Maybe it was when they were still in Joburg, because I don't remember you sending it to me. I remember you handing it to me. So maybe
Was it with a Swamp Masher and Arctic Blast?
Ah, yes, it was. That's right.
Okay,
Yeah,
then
there's
it's
an Arctic Blast included.
then it's from Mark Please.
Yes,
Out in
Please,
Hout
Daddy.
Bay, Cape Town. Yeah, I drove to his place. So this is what we're trying to figure out, because either that Evader went to you or it went to Rob. Now the mystery deepens, because Rob, where the hell did yours come from then?
Because so I have to be honest up front. I thought I owned Darklon, so that's why I suggested this as a topic for us to talk about.
Yes, you did. You're right.
So I was earlier. I was looking. I was like, hey, I found my Evader. Where is Darklon? I looked through my figure bags. I looked through the accessories to be like, okay, I mean, if I own the gun, then I have to own the figure, But I don't even have the gun, and I don't have the figure. So then I shared the story with Steven. I was like, oh, I have the Evader. Sorry, dude, don't have the Darklon. And he was like, oh, yeah. At that time, I got that stuff from Hout Bay. That must be what it is. But now Paul has just revealed that he's actually the one that got the Evader.
I was the recipient.
So I literally have no idea where I got this from.
Oh,
I'm going to assume then it has to be a gift from, or something extra that was received from a Bergforce member.
I keep thinking you got that in the States for some reason. Like I keep thinking.
I'm going to counter all of this and say Darklon and his Evader were clogging Dion's in South Africa for a year at least. This was not an uncommon vehicle and figure pairing. The choke on GI Joe entering the country was the local distributor called Prima Toys. They decided what we got in abundance, and they decided what we did not get. And boy, oh boy, did they lean in heavily to the Pulverizer, the Fang 2, Darklon and his Evader, the Arctic Blast, the Devastator, the Radar Rat. Like, these are toys that were not uncommon in South Africa. To wit, I have my original box image. Yeah, that is a Dion.
39 Rand.
39 randles, my bro.
This is dude.
You feel the style.
That's like $1.50 now in American money. For people listening to this show now.
Back then, it was $10. The Rand was a lot stronger. Now, yes. Now it's like $2.
Wild.
Yeah, man. And looking at 3D Joe's, I realized like the European Evader box, which we got, didn't have any Iron Grenadiers livery. It says Cobra the Enemy or Cobra Cupra, sort of bilingual. And then it has the red flame or digital explosion background, whereas the American release still had the blue Iron Grenadiers digital background. And then on the back,
the cool purple.
they had like a dio shot, like the catalog
Oh,
shot.
that's very
of-
different from the American one.
Yeah, the American one has just sort of a side profile, whereas the European has, and it's trilingual as well. Ours is English, Spanish, and French. And yeah, it's the catalog shot. Darklon looking like a stud, holding the clamshell of his recumbent bike open. It must have been a tricky shot to get because, like, I don't know, that figure must have been super stiff to hold the weight of that lid. But I guess, yeah, he was stiff.
Well, the lid itself
Back in
is
the
probably
day
still
when he was
super.
young.
But I mean, well, maybe yours doesn't stay up, but okay.
Oh!
I say that mine doesn't. But it,
Well, if you had a figure,
up,
you'd be able to demonstrate. Like, the figure's not that tall, so it has to be kind of like semi open.
yeah.
Mine
so-
stays up like a 12-year-old with an erection.
In all positions,
Well, what the
in all degrees of elevation. Yeah, my Darklon will not support the weight
you
of
will
the lid.
never be able to hold
No
that up.
ways, because my guy's floppy as. Guys, Darklon and the
deal.
Evader, but primarily Darklon, pulled double duty in my collection. He was a principal named baddie, one of very few. So in a sort of GI Joe canonical play, he was a main dude to beat. He was kind of the only representative of like the Destro leadership other than Destro. I mean, I had one Iron Grenadier. He disappeared very early on. And from then on, like anyone who was like more corporate than Cobra Command, like Cesspool, like they were part of Darklon's kind of, I don't know, like
goons.
money men. Yeah, so they rode around on the back of the Evader, and they were a separate cell to typical, blue shirt, or by that point, the sort of smorgasbord of 1989 Vipers that I had to hand. So, yeah, Darklon was pretty useful, but then also in the sci-fi setting, because of his weird look, his almost reptilian sort of bodysuit, this texture, and the I don't know, bedpan helmet.
Yes, helmet. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a science fiction-y kind of character. We did this Mercenaries game where our guys were the Renegades. That was their sort of their title. And then there was a rival mercenary group led by Darklon, and they were called the Juno Swords.
Oh, yes.
Our buddy Alistair pulled that from, I guess, a World War II Normandy landing documentary that he was watching with his dad. And he was like, here's a cool, catchy name for these guys. Juno Swords.
Juno Swords.
Like
Okay.
Juno and Sword. There's two invasion groups.
together.
If you know, you know. But yeah, I mean, I got Darklon as Evader for, I think, I'm going to say 7th birthday. I got him, I got Sub-Zero, and they were always fighting head to head. I Sub-Zero with his machine gun and bipod trying to shoot Darklon through the front end of this
Darklon with a heater.
Well, this clamshell I made out to be completely impervious. Like you couldn't penetrate it with machine gun fire from the front. Too bad, Sub-Zero never got a side-on attack. And then that night I went to Spur. We walked to the Spur Steakhouse, family steakhouse, the Red Hawk Spur, there by the Checkers. And I burnt my finger on a sparkler. Fun.
Son of a gun.
You know how they bring you a meal with a sparkler if
Chico
you're
the Clown.
boy?
Yes.
And I
and the
wanted
clown
that sparkler. It
comes
was
out.
the Chico the Clown, probably, yeah.
Of course it was.
I
Chico
wanted
the
that
Clown.
sparkler
It was Chico the
badly,
Clown.
so I gripped the metal.
Give it to me.
It gave me a nice roasty.
It's because of kids like you that we don't have hot rocks at Spur anymore.
Yeah.
So
No,
many
it's
cool
hot rocks,
Wait,
hot rocks.
I went
They
to
don't
Spur 2 weeks ago. They do. They absolutely do.
They don't have-
They brought
not
me
up
my
here.
500-gram steak on a hot rock, and I
They don't do a hot rock anymore here in
Wow.
Joburg. Nowhere.
That's crazy.
They don't do it where you get the hot rock and you can cook your little steak on it, and where they give you like a raw piece of meat and you get to cook it on there. They don't do that anymore.
I've
enjoy
never
that.
known of that. I've never known like that's like a bibimbap, Korean.
Yeah, but that's like, that's the hot rock. I mean, that was the first time I had that was in a place called Squire's Loft. For our listeners, these are some great anecdotal stories about South Africa. But
But
yeah,
Paul, I
Squire's,
definitely got my lazy age steak. Like the waitress asked me, she was like, "Do you want it on a plate? Do you want it on the stone?" And I was like, "Give me the stone." It's a black cast iron, and it's set into
Oh, no, it's
like a
different.
piece of wood.
no, what they used to do is they used to take it was like a block like this, like a square block. It's like a kind of a volcanic stone, like that they use for saunas and stuff.
Good lord!
And that thing was like cock hot, and you got a raw cut of your rump or fillet, and you cooked it right there on there, and you had your sauces, and you had a little bit
Really?
of your
At
oil that you could pour
Spur?
in there. At Spur, it was fucking great, man. I love that shit.
That's crazy. I don't
And
remember
obviously,
that at all.
some kid or some drunk arsehole must have bribed their hand on it one too many times, and they took it off the menu. But they had it way into like 2006. The last time I had
That's
hot rock was at the
crazy.
waterfront, or at Brightwater Commons. So that's how recent it was.
Just today, I was looking at an old photo album from 1993, or no, 92, so around about the same time. My mother's sort of dance studio had their end of year studio party at that very same Spur. And having been there 2 weeks ago, I marveled at the fact that the decor is completely different, except that sort of wooden boundary on the ceiling of the kitchen with those like different colored gels. There's like different
Yes.
symbols. That is still there. Anyways, I think we've lost everybody at this point.
We've gone so
Anyway,
back.
Steve was at Spur, and he burnt his finger on a sparkler. And then what happened to Darklon or Sub-Zero?
Well,
I must
luckily,
know.
Darklon and Sub-Zero, they were the salve to my wound. These boys,
There we go.
yeah, the new toys of that happy, happy day with the little sting in the tail. But yeah, beloved toys ever since then. Even with this,
I thought you were going to tell us that that's where you lost your Evader's gun, because I see your Evader's missing a front right
Oh well, I
Oh,
snapped it off. It's one I baked earlier. I snapped it off so that I could.
You could actually hold
demonstrate
it.
his handheld
Oh.
feature. These are designed to be, I guess, handheld. They look kind of like Colonial Marine smart guns in that sense.
Mm.
They look so good.
Yeah. Sweet ass. But it does have that unfortunate hole in the middle.
Yeah.
Which early classified guns had anyway. But yeah, it looks like there's a magazine there. Like there's actual ammunition feed going on, which is cool to see. But yeah, look, they are easily enough snapped off and snapped on. If I didn't have childhood memories of this toy, I might be reluctant to use that feature. But the plastic hasn't gone brittle on me just yet. It's not.
Well, you kind of worn it
that
as
mushroom
well, so-
clip hasn't given up.
Mm.
Yeah, still holding on tight. Well-designed vehicle overall, I think.
Very, very cost effective. It's literally like three portions.
Yeah.
Three main portions that make up a vehicle. One black
And,
sort of armored front, and then these two gold pieces. I always thought that the back kind of looked like the Cobra symbol with these two ribs.
100%. Yeah, you look at it, it definitely is shaped like a Cobra's hood.
Guys, am I misremembering? Isn't this thing meant to have a seatbelt? No, it doesn't.
It
It
does.
does.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
I donated my seatbelt to another vehicle that needed it, and I'll tell you why. Because when you've got Darklon in the seat, and you've got
not
him
coming out.
grasping the guns as the sort of the controls, because those are the only handles he's got, he ain't coming out. Yeah.
Mm.
So I
'cause I
deemed it
remember
as
mine
a
having-
less essential seatbelt.
Less essential.
Also, a very relaxed ride. I like these kind of reclined. It makes me think of like a Harley. It's kind of just like sitting back there, like, I'm in charge.
Makes me think of like, I mean, who are the kind of people that use recumbent bikes? I think they're people that like have maybe back problems. They still want to cycle, but they can't maintain that posture for long periods. Kind of makes him seem like he's I don't know.
He's a little.
I always think of that like low back ride as like a very gangster thing, as a very chopper. You got your handlebars out there. Not saying
Yeah.
all chopper riders are gangsters. I'm just saying
No,
it's
of
part
course
of
not.
that.
But it's kind of
look.
it's got a there's a dangerousness to it, but like relaxed
Yeah,
feeling.
yeah. And then you also get like fucking pedal bikes like that too.
Oh, that's
Yes,
right.
no, that's what I was referring to. I keep
Yeah.
seeing them in Australia, but they're always ridden by the elderly.
Okay.
Really?
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
wow, that shows you how America is a different market. I think our American listeners know what I mean when I say that. Like,
Whoa.
Should we talk a bit about
yeah.
media appearances, boys?
I'm very excited to know where did this first appear in the comic books? Like I'm
Issue
gonna say in the 70s.
88.
Yeah, so close. 10 away.
So he debuts in an issue that is really pushing the Python Patrol, because in it he's trying to peddle used Cobra and Joe equipment to various international buyers.
That's
What a
great.
football.
Well, I mean, he's desperate to move this stock that not even Cobra Command wants anymore. And Mindbender's like, you want me to upgrade them? I've got this program that will make them, hot ticket items. And Darklon's like, yeah, sure, let's do it. He's talking about the Pythonization process. So Destro starts painting them all with this Pythonized paint, I guess, which makes it radar impervious. Darklon's very intrigued to see it tested. And so begins what I'm going to say a very long-term relationship between Darklon and the Python Patrol. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. But we move past issue 88, his debut issue, and we learn that he gets absorbed into Cobra. Eventually, he then kind of falls out of Cobra's graces, but moves back to Darklonia, where he has a castle, and gets unceremoniously dispatched, almost off panel, in issue 146.
My goodness.
Destro and Cobra Commander want to invade Volkakukukland, and
Once
they're
again,
just
for the listeners,
Volkakukukland.
thank you.
You're welcome. You could just say Cloud Cuckoo Land. That is the joke. You're welcome, courtesy of GI Joburg. Now you know. Volca is clouds, and Cuckoo Klant, Cloud Cuckoo Land. That's, yeah, wordplay courtesy of Larry. Anyway. In issue 146, Destro throws a lever, fires an ICBM, and takes Darklon off the map.
Wild.
Wow.
Darklon is just minding his own inside his cast iron castle in Darklonia, and gets wiped out by a missile.
By his
However,
own family.
We don't see a body, do we?
True.
Yep. Well, let me tell you guys.
Do we see him again? I feel
Do
like
we
there's,
see
I
him
feel like
again?
there's foreshadowing. I feel like there's
Oh.
foreshadowing happening here.
Well, you would know the answer to
He's
that, Paul,
preloading
because
this.
he's been dusted off for the Energon universe, definitely. But
Yeah,
what
100%.
you really are asking is, did Larry revisit Darklon?
An
Yes.
error?
Yes, he did.
Of course he did. Because he forgot he killed him, probably. With love.
No. I think he never killed him in the first place. Just like he never killed Sneak Peek. Just like Sneak Peek, when he was shot in Trucial Bismuth, he was really faking his own death so he could go deep cover in Darklonia and keep tabs on Darklon.
Wow.
Interesting.
Because he knew Darklon hadn't been killed. And he was like, I'm going to do the deepest sneak and peek.
Well, yes. In issue 170 and 171, Darklon is revealed to be alive and well and living in a sort of a sub-basement of his original castle, sort of a fallout bunker. And he had been doing this for decades to that point. And what is even more bizarre is the fact that the Joe tapped for this kind of deep cover operation was another sort of supposedly dead ARAW character, Sneak Peek.
That's
Oh,
wild.
man.
Darklon's story is so fascinating. He's like this funny dude. He's like a knockoff Destro. And he's kind of like trying to resell Destro's vehicles back to him. and then he gets killed by Destro because Destro's like, I'm embarrassed to have you in my family. Get out.
So
of here."
guys, I don't know if
I
you've had
love-
a chance to watch. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch this film yet. So this what I'm going to mention here might fall flat, but it's the Gucci, the movie about the House of Gucci, the film,
No.
and the cousin, who is played by Jared Leto, is a complete loser of a character, and he's very
Like Jared
much
Leto.
Darklon. Yeah, well, but dude, that said, Jared Leto plays the shit out of that character. Hey, he's insane. He's good. When Jared Leto can be good, and when he's good, he's very good. And in this case, he was outstanding. He just happened to play like the worst character in the whole film, like the shittest,
Wow.
dumbest, and most annoying character.
So you're saying
And-
Jared Leto should play
Life imitates art.
Yeah.
So
And
here's
anyway, for
Darklon
any of our
in
listeners,
the
go and
pages
check
of
it out.
IDW ARA, written by
Nice.
Larry, and he's in this sub basement, and he's commanding sort of Darklonian military officers. But who are his sort of shock troops? Well, this is what I was alluding to earlier, the long-standing relationship between him and the Python Patrol, because Python Patrol Vipers are his grunts.
Oh,
Or at least guys
interesting.
in those uniforms. So maybe they're Darklonian troops, but because the Python Patrol were kind of first used in Darklonia, he's got all these extra wraith suits or uniforms.
He's kind of lying around. He was like, I can't afford to get new uniforms for my troops.
So
That's
he
actually
equips these
some really
boys
good
with,
research.
Oh, you're welcome, buddy. Look, I can't
Hmm.
say I did this all alone. Like I only encountered these issues thanks to my time on Talking Joe with Chief, because this was the period that I was actually on the show discussing. And then my memory was recently refreshed by JLS Comics, who did an excellent overview of Darklon. Like, if ever you want to discover more about a GI Joe specific character, JLS Comics probably has a video on them. Yeah, man. Darklon. Fascinating. And
Deep
then,
dive.
like, okay, the Joes eventually capture him. They take custody of him, take him back to the pit. It's discovered that his mask is actually surgically grafted to his head. You can't take it off. It's part of him. But it has all the sort of doohickeys, like, I don't know, vision modes and a direct link up to.
Of course it does.
I mean, it must be a hell of a headache. Have all those radio waves entering your skull. But anyway,
My
yeah.
goodness, what a fascinating...
useful when you are a prisoner, I guess, to be able to communicate with the outside world to plot your escape, because nobody can remove your helmet. Anyway, consider yourself
Crazy.
caught up on regular ARAW continuity. But you guys all did see how Darklon was presented in the pages of the Energon Universe Destro miniseries. Handsome motherfucker, but he was not meant to stay that way.
Yeah, very full of himself. He kind of, knew what he wanted, but didn't really care of anyone else. And Destro put
Very
him in his
much-
place by the end.
Very much like that House of Gucci character.
Please
if
tell me
anything-
they burn a mask onto Jared Leto's face.
Well, actually, when
Now
you see
you
the
are
character, you won't
Gucci.
recognize him as Jared Leto when you first see him. It's only if you know that he's. Yeah, he does. He pulls a. What's his name? Not Alan Rickman, the other really amazing British actor who we all love. He was Hans Gruber
John
in Die Hard.
Cleese. Oh. Yeah, Alan Rickman.
You're talking about
Alan-
Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy
no, not
Irons.
Jeremy Irons.
Gary
What is his
Oldman?
name? Gary Oldman. Yeah, you know Gary Oldman in the in Hannibal.
Winston Churchill.
He plays that-
Hannibal.
In Hannibal, he plays the character whose face has been cut up and mauled.
Yes.
I don't know if you know that. Yeah, he's actually uncredited in the opening credits of the film for exactly that.
Yeah.
So
Only every
Jared
time you
Leto-
mention this story.
Yes, sorry. It's one of those impressive moments, but it's the same thing with like Jared Leto's character in House of Gucci. But when you guys watch it, now you can watch it with the added intrigue of imagining the main
Him as
dude,
Dom.
whose name I can't remember right now, Adam
Probably
Driver's
Gucci.
character. You can imagine him as Destro, and then imagine the cousin as Darklon. and it's just a whole different movie.
And this
And
this
it's,
makes me actually want to watch the movie because like
You
the
should actually
idea of
watch it.
watching a fashion movie would
Well,
never have
it's-
crossed my mind.
Interesting, because it's not a fashion movie; it's a family drama. But it's very good.
Oh.
Anyway, like moving along from that. So
As far
Darklon.
as I know, Darklon's only media exposure is in the comic books, which is a shame
Yes.
because I think to myself, like, he would have been a cool sub-level boss for the NES game. He was around,
Mm,
available around about that time.
would have been great.
Bloody Globulus got a feature. Road Pig got a
Yeah.
feature.
How?
Overlord.
Metalhead. Overlord.
Overlord's in there.
None of
Range
them have a
Viper.
cool vehicle that would look so good in like 8-bit. Kind of revving
Exactly.
around, coming towards you, firing off missiles, shooting his guns.
Well, look, it probably would have been a similar boss fight to Overlord. So maybe
Well, you
that's
see?
why. And Overlord was a newer toy at that stage. He was actually
And
out the same year as the game.
no.
Sorry,
If not the year
Darklon.
before, yeah. He was 1990. The game was 1991, so Overlord was still on shelves. Yeah.
So where are we on Darklon's character before we move on to Darklon's plastic? Do we think he's a cool guy?
I can bring up the file card if you like. We can give it a read.
Yeah.
Ooh. And it's an interesting file card. The way it's worded is very different from most other file cards that I think I've ever read. Because it kind of like just kind of describing who he is, rather than being like a.
Dossier.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels different somehow.
Mm.
I think they gave him the short shrift by calling him the Evader driver as his kind of like that's his title.
Yes. Yeah.
Darklon, Evader driver. Zartan is not the swamp skier driver. Zartan
Mhm.
is the master of disguise. It should be
Yeah.
Darklon, cousin of Destro, or
Yeah, that's
Arms-
much better.
No, arms dealer.
It's better than making him the driver
Destro's
of a really, really small vehicle. Like, it kind of
There it
diminishes
is.
the character by making him the Evader driver. He should be a pawn if he's just like a guy who just basically drives a bike. The Silver
mean,
Mirage or
like-
the Ram didn't come with a driver.
Yeah, no, true. And I mean, it's like Baroness, mistress of Destro. I mean, like, how sidelined could you get? Like Darklon, Evader driver.
Well, there is a rich history of that. It's Xandar, Zartan's brother. That's his title.
Yeah. But the thing
That's
is,
why
like,
it's so
and it
angry.
goes against the text, because the text describes, it says, Darklon is a distant cousin of the Destro clan and the last of a long line of privateers, mercenaries, and investment bankers. From his cast iron castle in the Alps, he dispatched
must
his
get hot.
private armies
Or cold.
to do battle for the highest bidder, until Destro called upon him to lead his legions in his bid to take over Cobra. So that positions him as a much bigger player. Like he has his own business of being an arms dealer, long history of investment. He kind of sounds like a combination essentially of Tomex and Zammot and Destro
Mhm.
Comes from a family
kind of
of
like-
pirates.
and pirates.
And this file card doesn't give
Crazy.
allusions to the fact that he is the monarch of a country, albeit a small
Mhm.
country, but a country
The monarch
nonetheless.
of the
Like-
sun. Sorry.
But the comic books definitely make him like he rules a country called Darklonia. So
yeah,
we've
a
got
country named
massive-
after him.
massive Doctor Doom vibes as a result.
Yes, I was about to say. I mean, especially also with the kind of like, as you see in the comic books, they revealed that the mask is you can't remove it from his face, which is kind of similar to the way like Doom never wants to remove his mask.
Because
Like his mask is who he is,
All right.
more
No.
so, and his disfigurement, or at least up until a few years ago in the comic books.
There's a great quote on this file card, which I can only imagine Larry Homer wrote this, and it's just got that tongue-in-cheek, witty humor of his, which is completely unhindered by ideology or ethics. Darklon is motivated purely by greed. His telephone solicitors have been known to drum up business for his mercenary army by offering reasonable hourly rates and cash rebates. So, so this guy's so shit. He's so bad that he actually has like telephone people, like people cold calling you. I mean, that's how
Yeah.
bad he is. He runs a call center. He's the lowest of
Yuck.
the low. He runs a fucking call center.
He will
What an
make
asshole.
money any way he can.
Doesn't matter what they've said before. Doesn't matter that he comes from being a pirate or privateer, a mercenary or an investment banker. We got to tell you he's bad because he has a call center.
There we
And
go.
that is the worst thing you could have. Like, I love that.
What a yuppie.
What
Oh,
a
there's a
yuppie.
blurb we can talk about as well.
Ooh.
Yeah.
On the Evader box, it says, wherever there's a confrontation between two enemies, you can bet your bottom dollar Darklon and his Evader will be there to supply both sides with enough arms to keep the battle going for a long time. That's Destro's shtick as well. So the apple
Yeah.
didn't fall far from the tree in this family.
Seems
But
like the
it's funny
entire
that he takes the Evader to supply arms on both sides. I can just imagine this like door-to-door arms salesman arriving in this gold bike. Oh, here comes Darklon, guys.
Oh, he's back again.
Yeah. hit the gate buzzer. Let him in.
Oh, as it's coming like around the corner. Gonogram.
I said that the comic book was the only media appearance of Darklon.
You
Well,
lying to us?
The commercial.
I thought maybe I had Mandela affected this because I lost this early on. But JLS Comics, thank you, sir. You reminded me the existence of a coloring in book, which I owned.
A coloring in book.
A coloring in book featuring
My
Joes like
God.
Muskrat, Shockwave, Spearhead, having to protect the Crusader shuttle and some foxy female scientist against Destro in his despoiler and Darklon in the Evader.
Oh, that's
And-
great.
Basically, they reuse the packaging shot. It's sort of a simplified version. And I think I can recall coloring that in. Or just being absolutely jazzed that, like, my toy was in this coloring in book. Both Darklon and the Evader and Shockwave.
I'd be jazzed.
It was a cool find. Cool thing to have. I bought it in Weinberg Pick and Pay there.
Yo.
Yeah.
Yes, you got some mileage out of the yellow crayon.
Who's sad and do it in blue or I don't know, pink.
Even like, yeah, but you like the instructions, bro. Like,
Nah, it was a shitty coloring in a. Did you guys used to use his gun as a minigun?
Yes, I mean it does feel like it's a proper minigun. I mean that's what I always assumed it was, even though yes, that there is no
Ammo feed.
barrel. Yeah,
and it's sighted, which is crazy. Maybe
Yeah,
it's actually
as well.
designed to shoot invoices. You know.
gotta
That's
make
what
sure
it's
it's
for.
the right
This
person.
is what you
He's
throw
gunned.
me. Mm.
His gun sucks to all high heaven.
Ah.
I really hate that gun. My adult sensibilities hate the shit out of that gun. And
Really?
I'm even
I'm
more
disgusted.
disappointed. I'm even more disappointed that they carried it over into the classified line, like range, that they didn't think to do some
It did, didn't it?
updated version of it. But they kept that same piece of shit. It looks like a shotgun stuck into a soup can.
Interesting. I
sniper
always
rifle
thought it was
stuck into
a
soup can.
fascinating looking gun. I thought it was a
Oh,
very
it is
unique gun
fascinating.
in the line. I always found it
It's
very
fascinating,
interesting.
like watching swans fuck, but that doesn't mean it's pretty.
Jeez.
Sorry.
All is out of
Sorry,
control
kids.
tonight.
Sorry, kids.
It's got those extra details. It's got like a pipe attaching to like like an extra thing below the stock. Like it's got some interesting details going on there.
It has been said by commentators, I think maybe HCC 788, that it looks kind of more like a paintball gun. Like it's got this, various like pressurized air
Yes.
suggestions.
Definitely shoots invoices.
Well, you'd say that, but the comments, or at least the listeners, are screaming at their radio at this point, saying, "What about that part in issue 90 where the Dreadnoks are trying to encroach on the Iron Grenadiers, and Road Pig's leading the charge, and he's definitely in his kind of Road Pig frenzy at that point."
I can't ignore this.
Persona.
Cryptic on this panel. Cryptic order of benevolent vipers. Is that what? That's what the
It's a Larry Hamaism. Anyway, Darklon steps forward with that gun. Vip, 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 vip is the sound effect. And
okay.
he's covered in hypodermic needles. Road pick goes
Ooh.
down, man.
It's a party
Okay,
gun.
so it's a
I get it
yeah,
now.
it's a tranquilizer rifle.
There
Or
you go. He's
party
going
gun.
dino hunters on us.
Okay.
And the colorist saw fit to make his melon flesh colored. Because you can see around the back, you've got an
Interesting.
exposed head behind the mask.
I feel like the colorist was really lazy. I mean, they did the dreadnoughts and they were like, "Oh, I can't be bothered. Let's just make
They
his
ran out of
entire
yellow.
body yellow."
Yeah. They ran out of yellow, or they were worried about bleed or something. I actually
Right.
like that, by the way. It makes him even more obnoxious. In fact, I think it would have been a great design to have had his head melted so we could see how like bad it would have given us an idea of how bad his face looks.
Guys,
Actually, yeah, that's a
I
cool detail.
love this figure, man. He's so
Mm.
bonkers. There's nothing else like him. The helmet is one thing. The fact that the eyes have, let me not get this wrong. So it's a pink sort of inner
Mm.
with a very defined light green, like ring around it, or rim
Yes.
around the eye. The
They're
eye.
very
Inhuman.
Yeah, inhuman. Yeah.
The texture everywhere, yeah, sure, it could be kind of like a dragon mesh, like, I don't know, fiber.
Mm.
But part of me also thinks, in a different setting, this guy it could be his skin. He
Yeah.
could be a citizen of Cobra Law. This could be a kind of a reptilian man. It
I
would
wonder
explain
if he
why
wasn't
he's got
meant to be
such, like,
bare-chested.
extreme musculature.
Hmm. Also,
He might
correct me if I'm wrong, but he has no collar.
Nope. It's
No,
one
yeah.
bodysuit from the top of his head all the way down to his belt.
I wonder if that wasn't maybe his skin tone. Initially, I wonder if that wasn't his design. Sorry, Steve. I'm just like I've often thought
It
about
might
this.
be.
Going,
Because I mean,
Mm.
if you think about the way that he's described, it feels very. I mean, we've just kind of established it feels very derivative. Of Destro. It's like he's Destro 2.0. He's another arms dealer. His file card is like, oh, he's just the cousin of Destro. It could be maybe that at one point he was meant to be some sort of Cobra Law character or something. Because I mean, he came out in 1989, and that is
Wow.
about a year after the toys for the movie came out, wasn't it? 1988.
Two
87?
years.
Yeah,
So
2 years.
maybe he was an old design that got shelved after Cobra Law and GI Joe the movie didn't do the kind of business.
Yeah, and then
They
they kind of
wanted to.
repurposed it. That's interesting conspiracy theory.
Well, the nullifier apparently was supposed to come with a bike, and that was going to be a
Mm.
Cobra Law kind of vehicle. All of this is conjecture now. I don't know if it's been confirmed, but like maybe the idea for the Evader was somehow related to that dropped concept. Like we needed a bug bike for Cobra Law.
Yeah.
Oh, Cobra Law is not a thing anymore. Okay, well let's
Oops.
rework the design and
Repurpose
make it
it.
less organic, make it more technical, and give it to this Darklon figure.
Give them that.
Who
dude.
knows? What a mystery.
Because
You never
But-
know.
I mean,
My goodness, he's got a lot of grenades. We need to address
he
that.
is, and a cool like trench knife as well, which is cool.
Mm.
How many grenades has he got, Steve?
Oh god.
I counted them
It's gotta be
once when I was a
12.
child. I'm going to try and remember 13. Let me count them
Mm.
now. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14.
14
So it's even better.
close.
Not bad, Steve.
Not bad.
That
I
is
went with
impressive.
13 because I thought maybe there was one like just to kind of create visual intrigue, so it's not
Correct.
sets of 2 the whole way around, but it is just sets of
No.
2.
That's what they did. Wild man. Yeah, he's got lots. I mean, as you said, cool texturing on the chest, and lots of details. I mean, like the boots, I think have the different like texturing to them. The kind of like ribbing that goes up above the boots as well is cool. And I like that he's not symmetrical as well. Like the legs have different details
There is
on them.
zero symmetry on this guy apart from his helmet.
Mm.
Like no black glove on his left arm. He's just got a black sort of techno gauntlet,
Yeah.
and then just a sort of a very brief like riding glove, basically like driving glove on his right. right, has got
But
that
that's-
shoulder armor and that sort of, I don't know, shoulder
Webbing
holster.
or something, yeah.
Whatever it is.
Oof, I
Got a
really
holster.
hope.
So
In fact,
weird.
actually, I'm looking at him on 3D Joe's because my Darklon is sitting at my parents' house in his Evader,
You
and
dear.
I'm looking on I'm looking at him on 3D Joe's, and I gotta say, there's normally with GI Joe figures we get a crease in the clothing somewhere,
Mhm.
and he has got no creases, especially for this era of GI Joe. Like if it was like 84, anywhere between 83 and 84, or 83 and 85, I would say okay, maybe I'm like sort of reaching, but they did start putting creases in these guys in their clothing,
Yeah.
and he's got no creases. So this, I'm sure this is his skin, and I really hope somebody in the comments knows somebody who can like shed some light on this, because we got to know the story behind him. Also, green. What the hell is that? Like, I love that color, but what the hell with those
It's
pants?
wild, hey? Well,
So
I mean,
wild.
his color scheme does kind of help him match his vehicle a little bit better. So they didn't go like make his top gold, but somehow like the gold and the black of the vehicle matches the look of the figure quite well. I think.
Oh, it definitely does.
There's a nice
mean-
complementary colors going on there.
The only thing that didn't add to him was a blue. Then we could have had everything on him. But
Yeah.
Now, I was wondering if the kind of texture pattern on his torso was regular, but no, it actually is irregular. Like they've kind of done it in such a way that it doesn't form a repetitive pattern. So either it's
it's
just very cool
mysterious.
detail or it's skin.
Mm.
And
Drop down in the
it's-
comments and let us know what you think. Is that his skin? Was there some
Yeah.
version of this character that was supposed to be a snake man?
Could be.
I mean,
Because, I mean,
even the green,
yeah.
like even in the American shots of this, because I think the European version of this is different, because behind his mask it's green and then pink eyes. Whereas
Yeah.
Steve, I think you just described him as having flesh tone and then having the
No,
eyes.
I probably
No.
watched the explanation. Green sort of around the eyes and then pink.
Yeah, so
inside.
green skin.
Snake Man. He's a
Yeah.
snake man.
I mean, unfortunately, I mean, he was only released once in the vintage line, and then he was actually, at least officially, never released in the modern era. The Toy Collectors Club or the GI Joe Collectors Club actually released him twice. They did like a
Yes.
kind of like a revamped version of him, which I mean, and also the modern versions are very unambiguous. It kind of takes away the ambiguity.
Yeah.
So their first attempt at the figure, I think Paul would probably like, because he actually doesn't come with the gun that he hates. He comes with a bunch of other cool guns, and he's very armored. Like he has a very armored look to him. But by the time, and that was 2012, and then but by 2017 they came up with.
You got an
the third-
image over there, Robbie?
Well, yeah, I should actually share the images.
Share away, my bro.
I shall
And
do.
if I'm not mistaken, Darklon was initially meant to come out in the 25th anniversary. There was like a lot of talk about that at one stage. He was supposed to be
That's crazy.
25th anniversary launch. I think
can't
if I'm not, I
believe
think
it.
the Collectors Club is actually based on the mock-up that they did for 25th anniversary.
How dare they? Why
If
would they?
memory
Do
serves, I remember reading something like that.
So
I wish
guys,
you would-
why the groundswell around Darklon? Why was he revived from the dead in Larry's book and made such a player again? And why was he part of the Energon Universe relaunch? Like, what is it about this guy?
Yeah. He's it's just the look, isn't it? I think.
I mean, he
just
treads
looks
the
so
same
weird.
ground as Destro.
Yeah.
Like, if you've got a Destro character wheeling and dealing to both sides, why do you need a Darklon? I suppose to show the pecking order, because Destro
So-
brings him into line quite quickly in
Is
both
that the second one, Rob?
This
Or
is
the
the
third one?
first one that they released. So this is
Oh,
the
shit, 'cause that's-
2012 modern era. This
Yeah,
is
that's definitely much later parts.
yes. So this is them kind of just kit bashing, I guess, their first version. And then the final version that came out with the 2017 is much closer to what the original looks like, and kind of comes with accessories that match that. But here it's very
Okay.
like there's no ambiguity anymore. Like he's literally just wearing like a
That's
beachhead a sweater essentially. Like you can from this you wouldn't think he was alien in any way whatsoever, but they still kept the eyes, which is still red, and that kind of like breaks up, the
Interesting.
the thinking. Yeah.
Iron Grenadier legs and stuff. Interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry, Steve, we totally like steamrolled you now.
No, man. I'm fascinated by seeing these later versions because, by having to make Franken Joes, you lose so much pizzazz. Like the irregularity of the original is watered down by using parts that are more symmetrical, more balanced. I don't mind the original. I mean, the initial modern construction version went and did something interesting by making him super like armored up.
Yes. But I love that they still refer to him as the Iron Grenadier driver, but he actually didn't come any vehicle.
The guy's not getting a break, eh? He can't even get like call center manager. I mean, what an
He's got a small nation named after him.
So the great
of people that are selling you insurance.
They did they kind of expanded a little bit more on his character. I mean, the first paragraph in his newest file card still is very describing him similarly. And we also get a motto: "Get in my way, and I'll squash you like a gnat on my windscreen." Says the modern era figure that doesn't.
But that shows you what a dick he is, because a gnat on your windscreen's already squashed.
Yeah, and they kind of go on to describe, say,
he doesn't have a windscreen; he's got a clamshell.
Yeah, that's the thing. It wouldn't even smash against it. But apparently he has a sarcastic attitude, and he has an affinity for showboating. And here they're kind of describing as being hired as an international courier or for other special missions that requires unparalleled driving skills.
He can't get past being a driver.
He still doesn't. Yeah, he's not a vehicle. He has no vehicle driving.
But I don't even think this version of him came with a vehicle, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the joke. It's like he didn't come with a vehicle. Only the original came with a vehicle. Wow.
So, you mentioned like him being a.
You want to see the classified version?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So recently, as of the time of us recording this video, the latest digital releases or reveals for the classified line have been revealed, and one of the figures was their Darklon.
He's got your favorite gun, Paul.
Hey, and looks actually looks proper.
Well, now, actually, I was about to say now I also don't like it. I think the classified version, for some reason, looks wrong.
Yeah, it looks shitter. It's proportions. It's just a proportion of detail that's really off on it. It's just weird. The sword is nice. And I like the alternate head sculpt with the tongue sticking out. And I don't even know if that's meant to be worn by him or if that's just some ancestor or something. But like, I think that like the best thing about this toy are the head sculpts. In all fairness,
yes, they've done a very good job in updating that. But also here, like with the modern era figures, the ambiguity of whether he is a lizard man or not is being removed. It very much does look like he is just wearing clothes.
Lizard men can wear clothes
for sure. But like, I feel like, are we the only people seeing this?
But his eyes are very lizard man.
Yes,
in the classified representation. I think I'm going to go on a limb here. I think for the Energon, for him being an Energon in the Energon series, I think the importance he's going to bring is he's not obviously, but I mean, it's fairly obvious that he's going to be designed to run interference. Whenever Destro is about to do something, he's going to foil Destro. He's going to always get in Destro's way, whether Destro is doing something for or against the GI Joes. So he's going to be like that kind of thing. And then I want to take this further, and this is not so much a prediction, but I hope that he somehow gets incepted by Cobra Law, that he gets taken in by them. I think that would be very cool. It'd be awesome for them to have.
We can heal you, Darklon.
Exactly. Make
What's
us
it gonna
make us
cost
metal
me?
Your
eternal soul. Bring my best Pythona. Guys, something I discovered or learned to love or whatever most recently about the Evader. Because let's talk about the vehicle a little bit. We've been giving Darklon all the love.
He's
But
gone
really,
so much.
he is just a vehicle driver, and this is his baby.
And this is his vehicle.
This has got training wheels on it. If you take a turn, you're going to dig in these like fairings.
Yeah.
So it's
Actually.
a two-wheeler, but actually it's got these little guide rails on either side. Very
Yeah,
cute.
That's wild.
Here's
He,
news.
and he really can't like do crazy turns with this thing. Like it's very gentle, the turns he's taking. Oops. That's kind of wild.
Stinger missiles, which
Yes.
presumably make them surface to air.
Mm-hmm.
For the longest time, my Evader had its missiles lost. I have a theory that my buddy Lyle might have taken them for his own Evader.
Yes, that
Because
Lyle.
We both
know, I was
had the
about to
Evader.
say.
This is how
He's so just.
proliferated the Evader was in South Africa. We both had the damn toy. Anyways, his had a set of missiles, mine did not. So for the longest time, I used my Cobra Bug missiles. It's a perfect fit, and they do sit side by side and don't overlap or anything. They're the right size,
Good use of those.
and the dumbbell is the right dimensions for them to be substitutes. Interesting.
Mhm.
Now you know.
So,
A nice
the
detail.
Evader is
Yeah.
a nice
Like
detail, Rob. Tell us. No, you go for it.
Oh no, I like that. Like it doesn't have a cover for the engine, but there is a it's asymmetrical in the back of the vehicle here, because the way that it lifts up, it kind of uncovers the engine, and what you'll notice that on the one side it has kind of like this little archway,
Yeah.
but the other side does not have it because of the way that the engine is designed to sit in the back of the vehicle, and it kind of partially covers it when you close the vehicle, which I actually quite like. So even though it's a very simple design, it's as we said, 3 pieces and the wheels, and the
It's
missile
got a
rack.
removable engine cover.
Yeah,
Check this out.
technically.
Vent. There's a vent there on
Yeah.
the back. You pop it open, and
the same vent
lo
is in
and
the inside.
behold, the same vent is represented. Yeah. So does that
Love
mean
it.
that event? The only reason it's duplicated is because they didn't have the engineering to have it poke through. Like, should there be a hole on the top shell?
Yeah, what it could have been is that they might have wanted to also have an arch. So it would have ended kind of, like it would have arched around the
Right. Have a bit of a
around
cutout.
there. Because the thing is,
Yeah, so-
as you say, I mean, then you lift it, and the other side of the engine is a different detailing. It could be that's probably what was going on there. They just were like,
That's the vibe I get. I really like the Evader. The bike is like, Rob, between having the figure and the bike, I think you score by having only the bike.
Well, there we
Personally, I don't have the most love for Darklon himself. I think it's the problem with Darklon for me has always been, I used to find him intriguing. Then I finally got when I finally got him, I was like, this is awesome. Then I realized it's very difficult to have him without his bike. It's kind of, like they're too married with each other. But then to like have the double whammy of him being a complete, there's nothing redeemable about Darklon. That's what's kind of sad about him. It's like, if you had some kind of redeeming quality to him, he would be a lot cooler, and you would take a lot of the design missteps. Like, I don't like the red, the color combination for him. For me, it just screams as highly uncomfortable, and I'm not coming at this from an art place. This is just a Paul place. This is like, those colors together upset me greatly. And
it does kind
I don't
of
like it.
well, it feels vomity, doesn't it? It's kind of like when you think of vomit, it's kind of like that green and that kind of sickly green with the red. I can kind of see where you're coming from. I think
you'd be delighted to know that when Hooded Cobra Commander 788 reviewed him, it was in Ugly Ass Figures Month. For that reason exactly, just the really crazy like mismatch of parts and colors. But did you guys ever have guys ride the back of your Evader like this?
Is that a thing? Because
that's how I would do it. I'd have
never thought
Cesspool
of
on the
that.
one side and maybe Slice on the other side.
That's actually a really
Anyone
cool
who
idea.
wasn't like a Cobra, just a gun-toting terrorist would be on
So for our
Darklon's
listeners,
side.
please check out the YouTube video because it's difficult to explain this. But Steven's basically just
He's kind
threaded
of
the
placed
figures
them on the hood.
in the rear
Yeah.
arches.
Yeah, on the Cobra hood section.
And it
And it's
actually
It's
works
on
really
pretty
well.
Yeah.
It probably works better than like any vehicle that has foot pegs, because
It's
it
no
actually
less
looks
dangerous
like
than it's no
Yeah.
less dangerous than a polar battle bear. Let's put it that way. You know, like no. Oh, sorry, nullifier.
Yeah, it's got that same missile.
Ferret, Paul. That's a
Burning.
ferret.
Is that a ferret? Why did I call him a nullifier? It's because you said nullifier earlier.
He's trying to
Destro
trick
vehicle
you.
driver, Destro vehicle driver.
Yeah, except for Darklon.
They're
I
also
think
weird.
what elevates Darklon as well is maybe Stephen and I's, like expanded universe play with him. The kind of the way that we incorporated him into sci-fi settings and because he was one of the only like higher up Cobra guys, we kind of had to make him more than maybe what he was in the comic books or to his file card. But I think his design is quite cool overall. But definitely, yeah, I think the vehicle is fantastic. It does remind me a lot of the Tron cycle. I mean, it's just the general shape of it. But probably much cooler, I think.
I love this kind of bike, like because of things like Tron. You know, I love a futuristic cyber bike, and as a toy, it's a great toy to play with. I had a lot of fun zipping this thing around when I got it. I mean, I pretty much had Darklon stuck in there, and I was just like, and just it was just such a great little toy.
It's such a simple little toy. It's so well designed, and it feels exceptionally rugged.
What a good
Because
hand
the wheels
feel.
are so straightforward. Yes, it's very easy to kind of like hold and just like move it around.
Okay.
He's gonna drop a bomb on us.
No, well, you just inspired me by saying this is like a light cycle. Because a light cycle is not a recumbent bike. The guys are kind of like lying forward, like basically
Very much
like,
so. On their
head
dummies.
first. Yeah. You can put Darklon's hands into the footwells, well, the single footwell, and have him kind of lie in that bed with his knees in the depression.
Yeah, like where
And
his bum.
clamshell totally, if I get the gun out of the way, can close over him.
Crazy.
He's in there.
No, I like this bike even more. I finally have a Tron bike.
Light cycles, light cycles, light cycles.
I'm glad that we did this episode because it definitely made me like Darklon, the figure, more. I think because we were talking about the reptilian skin, and it's got me appreciating that a lot more. And it's taken the character further in my head. It's also made me dislike the classified more because now I feel like that's a missed feature on the classified version. It has further strengthened my dislike for the classified, but at the same time, it's made me appreciate the toy a bit more. I'm not going to get over the super long face thing. That is still like, horse walks into a bar and the bartender says, why the long face? I mean, the same joke applies to Darklon.
Darklon, yeah. Darklon walks into a bar. Why the long face?
Exactly.
Love it.
And then he's got a party gun. I mean, I think people got the wrong idea about Darklon. I mean, I initially thought that thing shot in voices. I wasn't that far away from it, but I think he's just shooting people with like MDMA and stuff. It's just everybody's going to see
keep the party going. I mean, that's probably another way that he makes money. I mean, greed knows no bounds for Darklon.
Come on, guys! It's a T-shirt cannon. This reminds me of the Lego Batman movie with the merch gun. And you get bat bucks, and you get bat bucks. Anyway, see that movie if you haven't. It is probably the greatest Batman movie ever put to film.
Crazy.
The
Lego movie. What even?
Yeah,
it's also for me. It's also the best Lego movie for my money.
Wow.
It goes without saying. A Batman movie that's in Lego.
Brilliant.
It's one of the best 3D. I think. What are the last Ninja Turtles was the last great CG animated film I saw, and before then was Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and before then was Batman, Lego Batman.
Wow.
There's been very few things in the world of CG that have blown me away. Anyway, now you guys have some great movies to watch. Some great recommendations from us here at GI Joburg. So Darklon, guys, should our should our wonderful like supporters, like the Patreons we're showing on the screen now, thank you very much, you sexy demons. And you're on the honor roll for a reason, because you support our fun podcast, the one that we enjoy doing so much. But should you guys buy a Darklon? Should people be getting themselves a Darklon and an Evader? Should they just get an Evader? Should they just get a Darklon?
If you can get it all together in one, I think that would be the best deal ever. Because I've seen these things sell separately for the same price. I mean,
ridiculous.
What?
I'd actually say
it's literally called Darklands Evader. How can it not come with Darklon?
Thank you, Ken and Daphne in 1992 for spending 40 rands at Dion.
And leaving the price on nogal.
Yes, this was a thing. My parents didn't bother peeling the price stickers off.
What?
And 33 years later, I'm grateful for that.
Appreciated.
Because it's part of the package deal, man, to have that touchstone of like, yeah, that's how much it cost. They went to Maynard Mall down the road, spent 40 rand on my birthday.
And look, I mean, the person who put that sticker on didn't even have the decency to put it on straight. They were like, it must be...
It's just
they just had those guns, dude. They were just going...
Yeah, but then do it straight.
An interesting trivia that I discovered on Yojo is that there is a fun school version of Darklon's Evader.
Is it pink?
It is still called Darklon's Evader. It looks exactly the same, but it comes with apparently a random Cobra figure. It does not come with Darklon. So when you get the box, you don't know what figure you're getting. So you would open the box, and inside would be a random Cobra figure. So I thought that was
cleverly, they painted over Darklon on the box art with Night Viper.
Yes, they did.
I don't have an image of that, but
isn't that wild?
That is actually pretty wild.
That you'd actually get a completely
it's wild for two reasons. But it's wild for two reasons, because I can't believe that there wasn't an abundance of Darklon figures that they could have just popped it in the box in the first place.
Yeah, but it's
Fun School India did that with a number of vehicles, the sort of the blind box effect. They just chuck in a random.
I never knew there was a thing with them. I suppose they just didn't want to have to do the molds for every single figure. It was easier.
I think it's just a clever way of them getting rid of factory excess, like overruns on certain figures. Like, cool, a vehicle needs a figure, just chuck a random one in the box.
Throw it in there.
But how quick is it that it's got a Night Viper on the front, and then you don't even get a Night Viper inside? I mean, like, what if you actually get Darklon? What a mindfuck!
That would actually be pretty random.
That would be so random.
If you are Fun School Ronnie or anyone else from that part of the world, please let us know what the random figure selection was. Was that you got pretty much anything released in the wave? Or
that
was it a specific?
Can you imagine if it didn't even come with a Cobra? It's like you open it up and there's Hawk and you're like,
Hawk. Yeah, exactly. Lady J?
What's going on?
A GoBot?
Windmill? Boys, we've come to the end of another show. We will see everybody right here next week. GI Joburg, we're weekly, baby. Thanks for coming on this recumbent bike ride with us.
Absolutely wonderful.
And we're out. You're
Take yourself a Darklon. Get true pull up.